Property liens, properties with liens on them. I got this question recently and wanted to share with each of you. So hello to all of you. Hope you're doing amazing. And I got asked the question recently, or was in a real estate event and heard a couple of gentlemen discussing about some liens on a property. And I will tell you, every time I go to buy a property and find out it has liens on it, I get excited because of this reason. Yes, the bad downside is that sometimes it does kill the deal, and that is unfortunate. But there's also much of the time that it can be worked out to actually be the best deal. So I've actually bought properties that had liens or issues, and this goes back to the creative finance. In previous videos, you've heard me talk about owner financing, how to buy a property, the seller carries the note, or you take over the debt amount, make that payment every month, and you don't have to use your credit. The seller nets more. There's lots of benefits. So when you're being creative like that, and I've commonly had sellers who wanted to sell me the property for what was owed, and there was liens on it that they didn't know what to do with. And so in those cases, depending on the types of liens, there's all sorts of liens. If the lien is a typical mortgage, of course, usually it's going to, you're going to figure out the payment amount, you're going to have to cover that until you pay it off down the line. So if it's a typical mortgage, we're typically covering the amount of that mortgage payment. However, if it's a weed lien or a debt lien of some sort of the seller, the different types of liens, some of those fall off in, depending on the state, in different years. Now, I'm not an attorney, and this isn't legal advice. This is simply things that I've experienced that hopefully will help you when you come across properties with liens on them to know kind of where to start on chasing these down to get the best deal. And so if it's a weed lien, for example, or if it's a personal debt lien to the seller, depending, sometimes they can be negotiated down, say a $10,000 lien to potentially just a few hundred or a few $1,000s. Secondly, if it's a lien of certain types, and your closing attorney will be able to give you advice on this. That's why you hear me preach constantly, always close with a real estate attorney. That way you want to make sure you've covered your butt and you're not getting into an issue that's more trouble than it's worth. But if you're creative through these deals, sometimes they can be the best profit. So keep on track with the liens. Your attorney can tell you sometimes those liens fall off in 7, 10, or X amount of years. So, for example, I went to buy a property not long ago, and it had about $10,000 worth of liens on it. So for that reason, the seller wanted out and wanted out fast and was willing to sell me the property at an unbelievably steep discount because they just wanted out. Well, after a little research, I found out that the liens were about to fall off. So in this particular case, because the lien amount still left me huge equity in the property, in other words, what's the worst case scenario? Always look at what's the worst case scenario. I went ahead and purchased the property. Because I knew the $10,000 lien amount, worst case scenario, I had to pay them off with interest. And after the attorney done some research, I found out that I could buy the property for what the seller needed and pay the liens off in full with interest and still have over 50% equity in the property. The math simply worked. So I accepted the risk, and turns out they were about to fall off. And I was able to work some things out where I didn't have to pay them off in full. So keep that in mind where liens are about to fall off. If they're in the 9th year and 11th month, then, and they're a 10-year lien, then you hit a home run. Or perhaps it's a personal debt lien the seller had. Without you, the lender, the lien holder, is going to get zero. But because you came into the picture, you call them and say, hey, I can offer X on behalf of Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so's debt as a full payoff settlement. and it's not unusual that they'll take that. So if you've agreed to a certain amount with the seller or agreed to simply take over the debts and you're able to get those reduced, now you just built yourself in some more profit. So, little brief overview. It's been a short video, I know, but that is a way that you can take properties that you might otherwise pass over because they have troubled titles, and you look and you dig in and you find out, and you have your real estate attorney help you to make sure every angle is covered and potentially could be the best deal you come across yet. Keep up the good work. Hit the like and the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.